This is Creating Your Life on Sex and Romance, Episode 42, Female Consciousness, Part 1.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't.
Try to see things my way, so I have to keep on talking till I can go on. We can work it out. We can work it out.
So, yes, male consciousness, female consciousness, it's easy to make fun of both. But what we're here to do is point out that there are some differences while both have value in different ways. And last time when we talked about male consciousness, let me give you just a little bit of reminder of what we talked about. Men are, people who primarily embody male consciousness tend to gravitate toward the external, the linear, focused, direct, explicit. That's why sports and politics are very much men tend to be involved in. Tools, electronics, cars, machines, mechanisms, anything you can take apart and put together, models, ships, airplanes. We like remotes, we like sound systems and putting things together. And also just this male energy, playing soldiers, shooting guns, fishing, hunting, changing the world, being rowdy, very male. Now, male consciousness and female consciousness, remember, everybody has both, but males tend to predominate in male consciousness, females in female, and that balance can change. There's all kinds of different orientations. Sometimes somebody can be primarily male consciousness for their entire life. Some of us can kind of flip into both depending on the situation, so it can be somewhat more flexible. And one of the cases I'm going to be making, especially for men, is to develop a sense of the other consciousness. In the men's case, becoming more aware of female consciousness and ways to understand it. So let's go into female consciousness. Now, women tend to gravitate to what's internal, what's circular or indirect, diffuse and implicit, and this comes under the heading of subtext. They enjoy internal activities and expressions of feelings, and this is why women will tend to relate to things in terms of how they feel about them. They like exploring relationships, and again, this is a kind of internal abstract thing, something more holistic. They also communicate indirectly, and they're sensitive to nonverbal cues in a way that men tend not to be, at least not as a default setting. Communicating indirectly, and this gets into subtext, and I'll go into that more in the next slide. They also are more aware of environmental and personal aesthetics, how a home is put together, how things look holistically. They're more aware of beauty, whereas men tend to be more practical about things and less aware of aesthetics. They like to cultivate the tasteful and beautiful, however they define that. And they have an awareness of the whole, the big picture. And so in communications, For men, they tend to be pinpointed, direct, and specific, whereas women can want to tell the whole story and give the big picture and to provide context. So subtext is an important thing, especially for men to understand. And there's 3 ways it manifests. And I'll cover the first way in this video and the second 2 in the next. For women, for female consciousness, there are indirect meanings which underlies the spoken or written word. And this is often conveyed in ways that a man is expected to understand, but unless they're aware of it, they won't. Do women non-verbally communicate with each other in ways that men are absolutely clueless about? You bet. If you're a man and you're not really aware of this, ask any woman you know if this is true. Do you non-verbally communicate, women, when they're in a room? Women can communicate without saying a word and understand each other in ways that men just don't get. And it's important to understand how this works. And the problem is sometimes women are so used to this, it's such a part of them that they don't realize that men are not wired the same way necessarily. So for example, a couple, man and a woman, driving on a long trip. So they've been on the road, on the freeway, say for 90 minutes. And the woman says, hey, would you like to stop for coffee or something? And he goes, no. It's fine. We can keep going. You know, for him, he's taking her literally. Maybe half an hour or so goes by, and she says, do you need to stop for gas or anything? And he's going, no. So another 45 minutes goes by, and he's talking to her, but he can tell she's upset about something. So he asks her, what's going on? She goes, I've been telling you for over an hour I need to use the restroom. And for the guy, this is a surprise, but for the woman, it's subtext. It's something that's understood, and this is something that it's very powerful. It's a legitimate way of communicating, and it's something that men like to make fun of, but in a way they're wrong. I mean, if a man is able to expand his awareness into subtext and understand how females can communicate, it can be a very powerful thing. Women, for example, can communicate in ways of how they feel about men, or expressing ownership of a man, or maybe even that they can communicate the fact that they've had a prior relationship with the man. And men don't get that, but it's very important that they do. On the next episode, we're going to talk about female consciousness, part 2. And in the meantime, you can check out my website at markandrealexander.com.